What's up, YouTube? Back at it with another video. Now, today I really was hoping to make a new Zippo video, well, a new old stock Zippo video, because I purchased off of eBay a Zippo that is no longer made, that I used to have a version of. However, it got destroyed in the Potomac River, and I'll elaborate more on that when I actually make the video, but it didn't wind up getting delivered today. It was supposed to be, but it's been delayed a day, so I decided to go ahead and make this video, which will be revisiting why you should use an Armor Zippo for tricks. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking, because I got a shit ton of comments on my last video saying, oh, you shouldn't use an Armor Zippo, he's crazy, you'll wear the hinge out, you'll, do this, that, and the other thing. Yes, I know that. However, now there is even more reason why you should use an Armor Zippo. If any of you Zippo collectors out there who have seen Zippo Fanatic 77, he is a really good YouTube channel from Canada, based in Canada, and he goes into how you can tighten your loose hinge if it starts to look like it's wearing out, doing tricks or doing whatever. You can tighten it yourself with his video. Granted, you'll need, pliers and whatnot, but excuse me. Anyway, onto the video. So, as you can see, this lighter is quite thin. Now, what do you suppose would happen? Let's say, you want to do tricks at work or something, and you work in a warehouse or something, and you drop the lighter and it falls 4 feet onto concrete. What do you think is going to happen to the thin brass? It's going to be fucked up. Especially if you drop it on the lid. It'll completely deform the lid, and it just won't look good. And unless it actually completely damages the Zippo to the point where they have to replace it, they're not going to replace it. They'll just fix it. Because if you drop it and it's, that messed up on the lid, it will certainly mess your hinge up, and you will have to send it in. But they'll leave the old lid on, and you'll just have a fixed Zippo that has a screwed up lid. Now, if you use an Armor Zippo for doing tricks, it is an extra half thickness of whatever the hell thickness this lid is. It has half of this added on to this already. So when it falls, if you're make a mistake or something, or it's like a high polished chrome and it slips out of your hand, falls onto the ground, yeah, it might have a little dent on it. Like the old one of these that I had it in my pocket once, and I tripped, fell over, and it was in my pocket, and the corner of it hit on pavement on the ground, and the only damage, granted my jeans were, kind of a buffer between the Zippo and the direct pavement. I'm sure if it was the direct pavement, it probably would have had, the chrome finish chipped off in that area, but all it did was leave a little flat mark right there. It didn't even really indent it. That's how decent, or more decent I should say, than a normal Zippo is. Now, I still say for practicing, if you're sitting at home and you have a carpet floor, you want to practice or whatever, you can use, or even a hardwood floor. I mean, this falling onto hardwood floor shouldn't, damage it to the point where you can't, use it for tricks anymore. You can practice with a normal Zippo like this. And I've also found that solid brass Zippos like this, or like this one, happen to be more resistant to taking, dents and stuff like that versus chrome lighters. I don't know why. This isn't the actual lighter that I dropped outside on pavement, but I have one back up in Virginia where I dropped it here. It was at this location, but the lighter's up in Virginia, where I dropped this lighter, one identical to this lighter. It was made in 2015, and all it did was put a little flat mark like this one. Well, one, again, identical to both of these, had a flat mark on it. And that was it. However, it did screw the hinge up to the point where I had to send it into Zippo. However, I took it directly to Zippo because my family at the time was like, hey, out of nowhere, let's go up to Bradford, Pennsylvania. And so I actually took that lighter in person, and I actually got to go into the back room where they fixed the lighters. Since I was the only one at their museum at that time, they actually let me walk into the repair clinic and watch them fix it, which was honestly quite amazing. I don't know if they do that anymore, let people back there, but I mean, it was only 2017, so I'm guessing if, you're lucky enough and they're not too busy, they would let you do that, but they only had like one worker there at the time, and they weren't even, fixing Zippos at that time until I brought the lighter in, and they were like, oh, you can come back and watch me, do the thing. And it was honestly quite interesting, but anyway, if you are going to be dropping a Zippo a lot, or, it's going to be taking a lot of hits, drops, or, whatever the hell you want to call it, this is the way to go, even with tricks. Now, I know there's videos out there saying, don't use an armor for tricks, you'll screw up the hinge. Again, if you watch Zippo Fanatic 77's video, you can fix it yourself, though I don't have the tools to do that myself right now, but I mean, eventually I'd like to get tools like that to where I could fix it myself, because I'd honestly be down to try it, and hell, if I somehow mess it up, I can send it into Zippo and they'll fix it for free. But that is why I use an armor Zippo for tricks, because if I ever happen to drop it, I'm not going to completely fuck the whole, blighter up to the point where there's, a dent and it looks deformed. Because then when you're doing tricks, people might take notice, hey, your lid's, has this big dent in it or something like that. Whereas this, oh, it's just a scratch. And once this gets scratched up with coins in your pocket and stuff, no one's going to care if there's like a little nick where you can see the brass from where you dropped it on pavement or on a polished concrete floor, or whatever you have it, wherever you work. But that's just my advice to you, why you should use an armor Zippo for tricks. And why you should use an armor Zippo regularly, well, the same thing applies. It's thicker, it's heavier duty. In my opinion, they last longer. The only weakness, again, with these is the hinge does, even just with regular use, wear out a lot faster, which is unfortunate. But again, if you watch a Zippo Fanatic 77's video and you have the tools at your disposal, you can fix it yourself. There is no problem there with fixing it yourself. Anyway, that's pretty much the video for today. It's kind of a shorter video. Again, I do have several new Zippos on the way, so this week I will be cranking out new Zippo videos. But that's all I have to say on the topic of discussion today. But just something to think about. I know several of you are going to be in the comments, like on my old one, oh, don't listen to him, he doesn't know what he's saying, don't use an armor for tricks. Trust me, if you're going to drop your Zippo, which doing tricks, you will at some point drop one on pavement and it'll be fucked up. You will have wished you were using an armor Zippo because it won't be completely deformed. Anyway, that's all I got to say for today's video, and I'll see you in the next video.